Hello and welcome to the end of my short-lived channel, as I'm about to violently jettison each and every one of you out into orbit with a video where I ramble about one of my biggest current interests, the band Weezer. And what better way to do that than to ramble over footage of New Super Mario Bros. Wii World 3. After just releasing on the 21st of December, I felt it was my duty to impart my thoughts on the final entry in Weezer's Seasons project, Winter, and its songs. Brief warning though, I am not a master of music or analysis, and this is also just my opinion on the songs and what I think they may be trying to say, despite how wrong I might end up being. So, strap in and hold tight if that intro didn't already buck you off for this video like an ornery bull at a rodeo, because you'll need to hold tight until we reach the end, as we're about to wheeze, winter style.
I want a dog, 'cause he tried to lick my face, and he would smile when I get home to my place.
I Want a Dog is the opening track as well as the single of the Winter EP, and I believe it may be the best of the singles in the Seasons project as a whole. A Little Bit of Love has a nice message but doesn't exactly blow me away, so it's pretty neutral honestly. Records is a pretty strong and catchy track, coming in at a pretty number 2 placement, though each variation of it only got worse and worse. Thanks, Crush. And What Happens After You sticks out like a sore thumb on Autumn, to the point that someone who isn't a Weezehead, like myself, would still easily be able to pick it out as the safe and poppy track that's supposed to get radio play, compared to other tracks like Get Off on the Pain, or Taste Like Pain, or heck, even Run Raven Run. I Want a Dog got me quite excited for the release of Winter, and I believe it still holds up as one of the better tracks on this EP overall. The lyrics in I Want a Dog feel really heartfelt, with Rivers describing how he'd love to have a dog to keep him company, as well as bestow him with the small joys having a dog would bring, such as seeing the happiness of a dog after he returns home, offering him the type of unconditional love or connection that other people won't always be able to offer him, or simply just being there to walk beside him. Rivers goes on to lament how he's made the wrong choice, with the choice in question not being entirely evident if you don't know a lot about Rivers. I made my bed, now I am gonna lie in it. That's what I get, I just wish I had a dog. As the song draws to its conclusion, you hear a meow at the very end. While this may seem odd at first for a song about how much Rivers wants a dog, it all comes together when you know that the Cuomos actually adopted 2 cats back in September of 21. It's him expressing how getting cats is the choice he made, and now he has to be happy with that decision while he still desires the company of man's best friend. Maybe it's just part of my bias as a dog owner, but I do really like and connect to I Want a Dog.
I wish I could say it all to you in Iambic Pentameter. I'd improvise high notes like Polonius when he's jamming it.
Iambic Pentameter is the second track here, and really stands out to me as what really almost could have been the closer to this EP. Before I get to that though, I'd like to talk about the lyrics a bit. The first 2 verses introduce us to the fact that the subject is unable to communicate with others, and though they try, they just can't, which causes them pain. It's then said that the subject wishes to vent out their thoughts in the form of iambic pentameter, which is most commonly used in poetry. Iambic pentameter is very famously used commonly by William Shakespeare, and if you remember the Spring EP, that connects back to the fact that Shakespeare makes Rivers happy, so happy. To me, it feels like the subject is declaring that, due to their inability to express themselves verbally, they wish for nothing more than to be able to express themselves through writing, where they can let everything out with nothing to further inhibit them. At this point, we reach its bridge, which repurposes the chorus melody and lyrics, and verse melody, of the demo You and Me Together and white bonus track Prom Night respectively. If that wasn't exciting enough, the bridge then continues with the lyrics, Seasons come and seasons go, where they stop, no one knows, which just makes the track feel really almost as if it belonged at the end. It's still great to hear, but just imagine if you heard that whole bridge at the end of the EP. It'd feel like a brilliant way to cap off a project that's based on the seasons. Still, it's a very strong track, and its placement doesn't really hurt it, and it still places well for me because of that.
I can't throw this
For track number 3, we have Basketball, arguably the Weezer song of all time. Kidding aside, this is a track that didn't really stand out to me all that much on my first listen, honestly ranking towards the very bottom of the winter tracks for me. While I can't really say how it currently ranks for me with all the other songs in mind, I can say that I do actually really like this song now. And a lot of that came from being able to look into the lyrics and think more about it from having to write this here. The first verse depicts someone who has fairly low self-esteem, saying that they don't want to go in and that they won't make a difference. Getting into verse 2 in the chorus, it feels like the basketball metaphor is, at its core, telling a story about someone who, again, doesn't really feel all that good about themselves, but they have a companion who is very much there for them. The speaker still grows colder and almost more secluded in their own mind, and still feels as if they need to have to say, I can't throw this basketball into my own arms, which can easily be taken as, I can't do this by myself. Could you be there for me and tell me that you want me on the team? Which could be pretty easily taken as, I need you, please don't leave me alone. Then it's described that despite the speaker's feelings of worthlessness and loneliness, their companion is still doing all they can for them. When the speaker tries, their companion celebrates with them, even if they haven't necessarily succeeded, because the companion knows that trying doesn't really come easy to our speaker. Even when going for a jumper, or say just going out and trying something for themselves after mustering up some courage, the speaker doesn't want to be alone. They want to know that their support is still there, pushing them forward and keeping them from being as alone as they've felt.
Oh, Sheraton Commander, oh, how I long to be there, slow waltzing over the bridge.
Track number 4 is Sheraton Commander, which is the flagship interpolation of Vivaldi's Four Seasons in this EP, just like the rest have had. Oh, wait, no. Sorry, this one actually isn't Vivaldi, despite the rest being Vivaldi, though I guess they weren't exactly following any scheme after opening night. It was the only track to match its season of spring, while Lawn Chair and Tastes Like Pain both took from winter, so, whatever. This track is an interpolation of Adagio in G minor by Tommaso Albinoni. I probably butchered that name, but what can you do? I actually really like this track, and honestly, I wish there was a bit more like it in this EP, as I think the general mood it exudes is frankly fantastic. It starts slow and somber before the violins begin to rise and it explodes, introducing the drums to the track, playing like a marching band almost. The sound of this track is a bit close to what some, including myself, might have envisioned when thinking of an EP based on winter. This is a shorter song, but there are some interesting bits to point out. The title of the song is Sheraton Commander, with Sheraton Commander actually being a hotel that's not too far off from Harvard, and the Washington Elm, the location where it is said that George Washington took command of the Continental Army on July 3rd, 1775, though there is no evidence to support that Washington took his oath under said tree, in the Cambridge Commons, which is between the Sheraton and Harvard campus. For anyone that knows anything about Rivers Cuomo, Harvard should be ringing a lot of bells, as Rivers spent time attending Harvard during the Songs from the Black Hole, Pinkerton era of Weezer. The lyrics, I remember these streets, but it all doesn't mean what it used to me, really just comes off to me as Rivers looking back on his Harvard days and how horrid of a place he was in at the time, and saying, it's been a long time since then. This place doesn't represent the misery it used to anymore. Pretty strong for such a short track.
It's dark enough to see the stars. I wonder who and where we are. Solitude is all I know, and as the years pass by it grows.
We got another certified banger coming up here with track 5, Dark Enough to See the Stars. Right out of the gate, I gotta admit this is one of my favorite tracks off of Winter, probably top 3, but honestly as I listen more and more to these tracks and dig even deeper into them, I've just overall gained a greater appreciation for all of them. So actually ranking them again is going to be hard. The beginning instrumentation before the lyrics feels very blue, specifically My Name is Jonas with the acoustic, at least to me. The lyrics start with the exclamation that the speaker feels like a mistake, asking why they were born and saying that the only explanation is that God must have been high when he placed them upon the earth. The speaker is completely alone, but one thing that brings them some comfort is the darkness that comes at night, giving them what they consider their sole reward, the ability to look out into the stars and, perhaps, for a time not feel as alone, or simply are able to forget about that pain for a while basking in the beauty of a starry night sky. Despite this, though, the speaker still continues to grow older, with their loneliness growing with each and every year. The only thing they feel they can do is continue to ask, why was I condemned to live this life, or why am I here, while praying that they won't die alone, something they're slowly losing hope for achieving. And this track is just amazing overall. Yeah, and the music video sure is something else too.
Without you, I still think about you, the one that got away.
With track 6, we reach the rare instance where Rivers Cuomo sings about a girl. Weezer slander put aside for a moment, we actually have another really good song here, because despite how much you can meme about how often Weezer sings about girls, Rivers continues simply because he has a knack for making songs about the feeling of relationships, whether it be how one's feel before, during, or after the fallout of one. Rivers is great at tugging the heartstrings of people who were once in relationships before converting into being a Weezer fan, like yours truly, and is part of why this song just hits. It starts out with the speaker describing what is assumed to be someone they used to date. Despite whatever happened in the past, the speaker still has lasting feelings about this person, despite how they're aware that these feelings aren't exactly appropriate after all this time. The speaker is sad knowing they've lost this person and are still stuck thinking about them, dreaming about them even, trapped in that dark pit that is wallowing in the past in what could have been while this person is still moving on with their life. The speaker looks back fondly on the old times when they would hug someone who was once so special to them, and this person would look back into their eyes and express just how good they feel. But looking back only causes them further emotional distress, as they once again remember that this is a bygone time and that she is the one that got away. The speaker expresses that they both don't need each other like they used to, congratulating this person on almost what seems like them finding someone to approve them, someone else, saying, "Good job, way to go," which feels like a sad, sarcastic, and bitter response to discovering that this person has moved on and found someone else, while our speaker is still trapped within their own dark prison of sorrow, still trying to convince themselves they don't need her anymore. But she's been blown away, whisked off like a notebook in a hurricane.
Deep and dreamless sleep, deep and dreamless sleep, the pill for all my pain, the cure for all my grief, the deep and dreamless sleep.
With this, we have finally reached the closing track of Weezer's SZNZ Winter EP, The Deep and Dreamless Sleep. If you ask a friend of mine, you'd know that this is the track I took a lot of issue with on my first listen, having spent about an hour complaining about it. In my personal opinion, the track felt like it had way too much energy for a song titled The Deep and Dreamless Sleep, with me expecting something along the lines of Butterfly from Pinkerton, The Spider from Red Deluxe, or Precious Metal Girl from Von Weezer. Something slow, personal, and melancholic, detailing the feeling of drifting away into death. I understand what Rivers ended up trying to go for with wanting to have a bigger, booming, grand finish, so that if they were to play like full SZNZ concerts, they'd have something big to end off on. But if you were to look into the bootleg that came out before the album came out, or even the demo that's online on YouTube, that's a lot more like what I initially wanted from this song. Further removed from that initial listen in my expectations, however, I've been able to appreciate it a bit more on its own merits. Instrumentally speaking, it's still a good listen, if not what I expected, and the lyrics are honestly still pretty on point for the subject matter, with maybe how many times the Deep and Dreamless Sleep gets repeated being a little much, but it's not that bad. The first verse comes from the perspective of what feels like an elderly person. Their family's forgotten them, no longer calling to check in. They try reading, but they can't. The words appear as a mess on the page, throwing them into a confusion. They're approaching the end of their life, which is the only cure for all the pain and confusion they've been feeling. The lyrics then go on to describe their home, where this person is alone during the winter. They can't do much, they can't hear, and their memory is fading to the point where even just Saturday is foggy for them. The subject then remembers someone who had loved the holidays, wrapping presents, and had shared a kiss with our speaker beneath mistletoe, but it all slipped away. We had to let you go. This very much feels like it's the speaker, in their state, still just able to remember the good memories of how much what appears to sound like their spouse had loved the holidays, this time of year, before they passed on, before the speaker had. And now here they are alone. Their body is slowly dying, with them simply waiting to fall into the deep and dreamless sleep, where they can be with their love once more. My final verdict, as far as the Winter EP as a whole, is that I genuinely just really like it. It's hard to say, but at this point I might genuinely put it over Autumn. Before doing this, I think I was definitely still leaning towards Autumn being the superior EP, but now I think Winter may just have it for me, as far as they go. Autumn still has 100% the best shirt design, though. Hey, if you're still with me after this, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. I know this isn't exactly what I usually make, and frankly, most have probably bolted by now, but I really wanted to take this opportunity to talk about and analyze something I honestly care so much about, and I really gained a new appreciation for every song here by going through and doing it. You're a real one if you've made it this far, and again, thanks for enabling me and sitting through me being able to talk a lot about something that's so close to me as a person. With that, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.